How to end your fears. Fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. Fear is an emotion that we prefer not to have because it feels unpleasant to us and causes us to react in ways where we often don't perform at our best because we can't focus as well on the task at hand due to our fear. This doesn't mean that all fears are bad or negative. Throughout human history, fear has helped humankind to survive and evolve. Cavemen were afraid of dinosaurs because of the harm they could cause. Therefore, cavemen avoided them as much as possible and devised weapons to try to defend themselves when a confrontation couldn't be avoided. Today, humans are fearful of volcanoes, hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes because of the devastation they can do and the loss of human life that can result from these natural disasters. As a result of that fear, humans have devised early detection methods, communication systems, and evacuation strategies in an effort to try to minimize the damage and prevent the loss of human life. Therefore, fear can help humankind is better. However, when we have a fear, it often paralyzes us to the point where it's hard to stay focused and perform at our best. We often worry about whatever is behind that fear, such as afraid of giving a presentation in front of our clients, peers, and or superiors. While fear can help to improve ourselves in some ways, it often stands in our way of achieving the goals we want to achieve and reaching our inner greatness. This is why we must find a way to overcome our fears and not let them stand in the way of our greatness and our best possible potential. First, we have to understand what is behind our fear, why we are afraid of whatever is behind that fear. This is really the only way we are going to overcome that fear and its obstruction to our goals and inner greatness. Why do we fear what we fear? For example, if we fear giving presentations, it may be because we are apprehensive about appearing in front of crowds. It may be because we think we are incapable of capturing their attention and getting approval from them as we give the presentation. It may be because we are afraid of making a mistake. In fact, making mistakes is a key element behind most fears. We are afraid of making mistakes in our line of work, in the tasks we do, and in everyday life. Society has largely taught us that making mistakes is not a good thing to do, often resulting in negative consequences. As a result, we do our best to avoid them, but we often fear making them because of the negative consequences that can result. Therefore, societal influence and pressure is a key reason why we fear mistakes, and a key reason why we have fears. We want to live up to everyone else's standards and expectations. As a result, we try our best, but often become nervous and fearful that we won't achieve as much as we are expected to. This constant fear comes from the fact that we want to belong, we want to be accepted by others for who we are and what we do. When we fail to live up to those expectations, such as making mistakes, we fear rejection by others and isolation by others as a result. Being rejected by others and being isolated by others is also behind many fears. For instance, when we have to take on something challenging by ourselves, we often feel a sense of dread and even panic because we stand alone. This is why it's challenging to stand up for a cause when you are one or just a few against a larger group that stands opposite of your position. When we are rejected due to our status, our clothing, our mannerisms, or for any other reason, we become fearful and even dejected because of that rejection and the resulting isolation. We feel there is something wrong with us because we are rejected by other members of society based on our looks, status, clothing, mannerisms, and or other reasons. We then become more fearful to show our true selves, often preferring to conform to the norm and blend in with everyone else out of a fear of showing our true selves, out of fear of rejection, isolation, and even ridicule. Just as with making mistakes and other types of fears, when we are fearful of what other people think of us and reject and even ridicule us or ignore us, it takes a toll on our focus, our self-confidence, and even our self-worth. It's harder to put the focus into the work we need to accomplish in order to achieve our goals. It's harder to accomplish great things when we are always fearful of what other people think of us. It's harder to achieve our inner greatness and have the most satisfying and fulfilling life possible. Therefore, it is essential that we move past these fears and end them so that they no longer stand in the way of our goals, dreams, and aspirations. How do we go about doing this? First, you have to be aware of your exact fears. What exactly is making you afraid? Is it a fear of making mistakes? Is it a fear of being rejected by others because of who you are and what you stand for? Is it something else? You have to know exactly what you are fearful of before you can successfully address that fear. You have to be curious about what is causing your specific fear. You have to know exactly what thoughts and situations are causing that fear when exactly you feel that fear, and your usual response to that fear, including how it's impacting your life. Knowing and understanding your fear can help you to learn why you have this fear, as well as rationalize a way to end the fear. If you are afraid of public speaking, you may wish to take some communication courses that allow you to make speeches in front of a small group in order to gain more confidence in public speaking so you can do it in front of larger groups and in more critical situations. If you are afraid of making mistakes, rationalize that making mistakes actually helps you to learn how to improve yourself as an individual. Virtually no invention or discovery was found the first time the creator tried to find it. She had to go through many tests and tries, i.e. mistakes or failures, before finding the invention or discovery. This is further proof that mistakes are not bad in themselves, unlike what society often tells us, but only if we learn from them and learn to improve ourselves by analyzing them and learning how to avoid similar mistakes in the future. If you are afraid of others rejecting you because of your looks, your clothing, your status, or any other reason, think about why their opinion matters to you. Does everyone feel this way about you? It's very likely they do not. Therefore, find and associate with people who accept you for who you are and who do not ridicule you. Chances are high that people who ridicule you and reject you are not people you want to associate and hang around with anyway, so don't fear as if you're losing out on something because these people don't want to hang around with you. See it as a positive that you're not wasting your time with people who have a narrow vision of what their friends have to be in order to spend time with them. In fact, when you have a fear, attempt to see the fear in a positive light. For instance, if you fear public speaking, instead of fearing you're going to make a mistake and do poorly at it, focus on the idea that you're going to speak well and that the speech will be a success. Many say that thinking positively leads to positive results. Oftentimes, when we think something is going to happen, it most often does. Therefore, if we think we're going to speak poorly and make mistakes, chances are high that we are going to find a way to make it happen. However, if we are confident in the material we plan to speak on and think positively and confidently about the speech we're going to make, chances are high that the speech will go well. When you have a fear, it's often helpful to acknowledge it in one or more ways, to get it out into the open so that you can analyze it and find ways to overcome it. Talking with a family member or close friend can help you to determine why you have this fear and how to best overcome it. A family member or close friend can reassure you when you are fearful of something that you can overcome the fear and do great things. For instance, if you are fearful of speaking in front of a crowd, she can help you to become more confident at public speaking by helping you with your speech and giving advice on making it better. Many times, a family member or close friend can see how our fear forms and why it's something that should not stand in the way of our goals, as they may reassure us that we are stronger and better in the task we fear than we think. They can often rationally see our strengths and our abilities better than we can where we fear ourselves as being a poor public speaker. They can show us that we are much better than we think and point to past examples where we have spoken well in front of large groups. Another good way to acknowledge and address fear is through a journal or diary. By keeping a daily log of our thoughts and fears, we can actually see what the fear is and what thoughts are leading us to have this fear. We can also rationalize a way to overcome this fear, and not let it stand in the way of our goals and achievements. Sometimes, reading up on the type of fear we have or on situations we are dealing with and seeing what other people have done in such situations can help us to see that there is a way to overcome our fear, and not be hampered by it. This can be in the form of reading a book, or whether it's biographical, motivational, inspirational, etc., reading blog entries by someone who is dealing or has dealt with a similar situation or similar fear to yours, etc. Sometimes, we may need professional help to overcome a fear that we have, one we cannot solve on our own via a journal, diary, or via talking with family members and/or friends. Sometimes, we need to see a therapist discuss any challenges and issues we are having that lead to this fear. A therapist is sometimes needed to dive deep into the issues that are leading to this fear, and help us sort out why we are having this fear, and develop a plan to overcome this fear. There are also noted techniques you can try in an effort to overcome your fears. One such method is emotional freedom techniques, or EFT. There are meridian points on your body that you can tap using your fingertips. Do this while you are thinking about fear, and the power of that fear over you is reduced greatly, and sometimes altogether. Another noted method that can help you overcome fear is the Sedona method. The Sedona method involves you asking yourself a few simple questions while you focus on your fear. This can help to reduce and eliminate the power that the fear has over you. Another similar method to the Sedona method in that you ask questions while focusing on your fear is known as the work. While this method doesn't work for everyone dealing with fears, undergoing hypnosis is another option. Programming the right thoughts into your mind and eliminating negative thoughts and beliefs can help you find a way to overcome your fears and not let them hamper your focus, work, and efforts to achieve your goals and your best possible potential. As you can see, there are many ways to overcome fears, which are unpleasant emotions caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. Fears are something we do not like to experience, because they make us uncomfortable, and cause us to lose focus on what we are doing, making us less efficient and effective in our everyday lives. While fear has helped humankind to evolve and become better, it can often lead to paralysis for us, and avoiding to do the necessary tasks we need to do in order to achieve our goals and find our inner greatness. We have to really focus on why we fear something in order to understand the cause of our fear, and how to go about overcoming it. Fears often occur because we are afraid of making mistakes. Society has taught us that making mistakes is bad and can lead to negative consequences. While that is true to an extent, it's also true that mistakes can be valuable experiences to learn and grow from to improve ourselves as individuals. We also often fear the rejection, isolation, and ridicule of others, either because of mistakes we make in front of them or because we are different from them in terms of status, hair, clothing, mannerisms, etc. We as human beings feel a need to belong and don't want to be isolated from others based on being different. This is why in many cases, people will conform to others' way of thinking, and even being in terms of similar hairstyles, clothing, mannerisms, etc. To rid ourselves of fear and to enable us to regain our focus and efficiency, we need to see the fear in a positive light. We need to think positively instead of negatively when we think about fear. If we fear public speaking, instead of thinking we're going to do badly, think that the speech will be a success. It often helps to get the fear out in the open. Talking about it with friends, family, and/or writing about it and any associated thoughts in a journal, diary can help us to learn why we have that fear and find a way to overcome it. Methods such as emotional freedom techniques, EFT, the Sedona method, and the work can provide relief and comfort from fear. EFT involves tapping on meridian points on the body to reduce fear, while the Sedona method and the work involve asking questions while focusing on our fear to help weaken its paralysis and power over us. Finally, a therapist may be needed if the above methods don't work to reduce or eliminate the fear of where we can function efficiently and effectively to achieve our best work and reach our greatest potential. Everyone has fears, but the power to overcome them is within our grasp, and doing so is essential to achieving our best potential, reaching our inner greatness, and having the most satisfying and fulfilling life possible.